So, for our readers, for the public, for followers of Youth Time International Movement and Youth Time International magazine, I would like to ask you to represent yourself. If I would need to say who is Anza, I would say that this is a young, enthusiastic girl of 21 years. She's just 21 years old. She already is the third year of medicine. She's also the one who established her NGO, Bright Young Leaders, got award of Nelson Mandela, and is sharing a great impact of from all over the world, but especially in South Africa. So, like, how would you represent yourself? Am I right? Am I mistaken? What would you add?
I feel like you covered most of the things that I would say. So, if I were to introduce myself, I will obviously begin by introducing myself as a medical student and then as a global change maker. And what that means for me is that I am a young person who sees the world beyond her surroundings, and I am very much concerned about what's happening around me, my community and the world at large. And I am driven by this need to create an impact wherever I am, be it in my community, be it everywhere else in the world, even if it's just a small conference, even if I attend a conference for 1 week, like the Youth Time. International Youth Forum for 1 week there where I am. I have this desire to create an impact, to share my story with other people, to impact them, and that is what I am all about. And the Tshipetane is a global change maker.
Yes, but this is really easy to say. But how someone who in that moment, 2019, you were 20 years old or even 19, I'm not going to count the number of years, but just to present to people and to try to inspire them, how someone who is so young can
Hmm.
like have such a great idea how to change the global market. Like how, what inspired you? Like how, when did you decide to be the change that you want to see in the world?
Well, I can say that it starts with you recognizing a problem, and that is something that we all do. It doesn't require an enormous level of creativity to pick up something that is wrong within your society. And from recognizing a problem, you go on to having an idea. We all have ideas. I'm sure that at some point in your life, you have come across a problem and you have had an idea to solve it. And once you have that idea, you have to see it within yourself to be the change that you want to see, because most of the times, when you see something wrong within community, you wait for somebody else to come along and solve it. And as young people, we fall victim to just waiting and sitting and waiting for somebody to just come in and be the hero. But the world is actually waiting for you to stand up and be that hero. And from you recognizing that I may be this change that is needed, you need to position yourself in a way that you will be able to learn more about your problem. You need to study about your problem. You need to study your solution, and if your solution is going to work. And you need to position yourself for, okay, like I said, you need to position yourself for learning opportunities. You need to position yourself for opportunities of growth, and also just surround yourself with people who see things the way that you see. By that I mean, you need to position yourself. If you want to say you want to be a global change maker, you need to position yourself around global change makers, because those people will help you ignite that passion for you to do whatever you want to do. And I feel like most people who have become change makers like myself at a young age, they can tell the same story. It is all about learning, continuous engagement and growth.
Yes, but I met a lot of young people in my life that they are having great ideas, and but something is stopping them to make them become true. So, like, my question actually is, how are you start believing in your idea actually that your idea is worthy of trying? Because I'm pretty much sure that everyone in the world has some idea, how to change something, like from the smallest to the like the most biggest things in the world. But how did you start to believe in your idea, especially you're not coming from some country who is well positioned in the world, you're coming from the same country as I, coming, and that's the third world country. Like
Yeah.
how when it's happening, that moment when you're actually starting. I know that this is Oprah Winfrey moment, but I really think that this is so important. I would like to know because I have a lot of ideas, but I'm not sure that I'm believing in every of them.
So I feel like the one thing that stops young people from pursuing their dreams is fear of failing, because when you're starting out, you be like, who is going to support me? Who is going to believe in my idea? Who is going to fund me? Because as an NGO, when you're starting out, you need funds, and you might receive some rejection at the beginning. But what I would advise every young person that is thinking about going out into community and starting an NGO is that you need to hate the existing problem more than you hate failure. And what I mean is that I hate to fail. If I'm starting something, I need to know that that thing will be successful. And the idea of success itself motivates me to keep working hard. But if I have this fear of failing, it might stop me from going after it. It could have stopped me from starting the Bright Young Leaders Initiative. But I hated the fact that we didn't have adequate and quality education more than I hated failing. So that is why I decided that, you know what, I am going to go after this thing and I'm going to start this organization. And if I don't receive the support that I need, I will give myself that support. I will push myself. The first form of support has to be intrinsic. You have to be your own personal hype man or woman, and when everybody else is just coming in with negative energy, you need to be able to stand and say that, you know what, I have this vision and I am going to pursue it regardless. And another thing that is a hurdle when it comes to starting NGOs, like I already mentioned, is funds, and most people want to write business plans. They want to pitch their business plans to big corporates, but no company is going to want to fund something that is still an idea, something that is not existing. So I would advise every young person to start from where they are. Just start with whatever resources that you have. If you're able to mobilize volunteers for free, do that. If you're able to fund the project from your own pocket, do that, because no organization starts off as this big international organization having impact on thousands of people. It starts with something small scale, and when you see that your first implementation was successful, it is then that you can begin to think about going big. It is then that you will have a better chance of receiving a grant if you're pitching or if you're approaching a corporate body. So just start with what you have and grow one step at a time. And don't feel like because your progress is slow and you're not receiving this grant at this season, then it means you need to stop. No, you just keep going regardless.
Okay, and can we explain your background? What is the background that you are coming from? Like, I'm pretty much sure that a lot of listeners are going to think, oh, it's easy for her. She's coming, from privileged background, privileged family. She had educated parents, so they could help us. But we are, for example, poor or we don't have opportunities. Can we more, get it closer, your background? Where are you coming from?
So I come from a small village, which is called Tshipetane. It is found in the northern province of South Africa. And I grew up in a rural community. I went to a school in the rural areas, both primary and secondary. And I didn't grow up in a family that had everything. The schools that I went to, like I said, were government funded, and that meant we didn't have a lot of resources. In my school, we did have a laboratory, but we didn't have laboratory equipment, which rendered the laboratory useless. So we ended up just having to read experiments off of textbooks. I never had that practical exposure. And I know that in some schools in my surrounding areas, they didn't even have textbooks. So you can see already that quality education in such an area would have been a challenge for myself and for my peers. And I know people who have had to drop out of school because they're not receiving support. The teachers are uninspired, and when you go into class as a teacher, you need to convince the student that this subject is interesting. But when you come across a teacher who is so uninspired because they are not receiving the empowerment that is necessary from the government, they don't have resources, they just replicate that energy to the students, and students fall out of love, with education, and they decide to drop out, they decide to go all those routes, go into substance abuse, teenage pregnancy is an issue, and there's just a whole lot that I can mention right now. And me seeing all of that happening in my community was just so overwhelming, because I saw that this thing was becoming out of control, but I could also see the potential that was within young people, because you would see the student who was getting aces, they were getting 90%, they were getting 100%, but because of that situation, their grades would begin to drop. So you can see that this person has potential, but they don't have that push, and you would see somebody who is getting excellent marks on their school leaving examination but fail to get into university because they failed the national benchmark test, or because they just cannot afford to go to university. And you find people going into university taking careers that they don't like because they didn't know that there were other options for them. There's no proper career guidance and all of that. So all that to say that I come from a background of a crippled public education system, and I feel like that is what has shaped me as a person, my beliefs, my values, and everything that I fight for. I call myself an a quality education activist, and that for me just means that I am willing to fight. I am willing to advocate for students coming from rural communities so that they can receive quality education. And this is because I believe that education is a fundamental human right. We all have a right to education. We all have a right to prove ourselves that we can do this. We have a right to receive adequate resources within our schooling systems, and it shouldn't be a privilege.
I agree with this, but I remember that 5 years ago I was doing the interview with one guy, Tulisana Yabulana from South Africa. He's coming from Zulu tribe, and he told me about the education in South Africa. And he told me that people like in public schools that they are when they are, for example, learning geography, that they are not learning the geography of the whole of the world, just some parts of Africa. So also he told me about mathematics that you're learning basics that actually nothing what's considered in Europe, for example, it's not considered in South Africa. So like the public education is just made to make cheap labor force for producing more. Sorry, continue.
That is very true. And most of the people from where I come from, after high school, some of them don't get into university, like I mentioned. They go into colleges. In South Africa, a college is not the same as a university. A college is more technical, and this is where they learn technical skills. They become plumbers, electricians, and all of these things. And we want a black child to know that they don't have to be an electrician or a mechanic. They can become a mechanical engineer. They don't have to learn how to fix stuff. They can make stuff. And all these jobs are manual labor, like you said, and we are leaning towards the fourth industrial revolution. We are already there, actually, and most of these jobs are being taken away by machines. So we need to make sure that our young people are prepared for the era that we are in. We don't want to be in a situation where our students are no longer skilled to carry out these jobs, because the education system did not cater for that. And that is what Bali is all about. We're trying to empower our young people, to make them aware that these are the skills that they need, and just to give them a glimpse into those skills so that we can ignite a spark within them, that they may study hard, they may work hard to get into university, so that a black child can be a mechanical engineer, not just a mechanic. Yeah.
I understand this. So let's start talking about bright young leaders. How everything started. When from idea till development of one NGO, Bright Young Leaders Initiative.
Mm. So it started when I was in grade 12. I was during my final year of high school. I was 18 years old and I had just won the National Science Olympiad. Actually, no, my journey started before that. I had loved science throughout high school, and I was just interested in the subject, and I just wanted to do research all the time. I was always studying ahead. By the time I was in grade 9, I was already studying grade 12 material, just to show how enthusiastic I was. And I started a science club, and in that science club, we would prepare for Olympiads. And on my final year, I won the National Olympiad and got the opportunity to represent South Africa at the London International Youth Science Forum. So when I was at the forum, I was introduced to a whole new world of science. I was introduced to robotics, artificial intelligence, and all of these things. And I just remember saying to myself, wow, this is a beautiful experience. And I just want somebody else from my school to come here and experience it. Because although we had winners before, it was only one person who went to the London International Youth Science Forum, and it was only one person who got to witness such an inspiring event. And I just wished that for so many of the young people that were in my school. And I remember when I came back, I was just telling my club about it and just motivating them to work hard so they can win the Olympiad, because that was the only option of that one could get to attend the forum. So the following year, when I was in my first year of university, I contacted the director of the forum and I told her about the idea that I had to start a science fair competition in my area, in my region, which is Wembe district. And from that competition, we would pick one winner to represent the country and the organization at the London International Youth Science Forum. And she agreed, and she gave a travel scholarship to one student. And that was very inspiring, and we got a lot of coverage from the local radio and the local newspaper, and everybody was just so inspired, because it is a big thing, you know, to get this opportunity to present your science project at a prestigious institution, because this forum is held at the Oxford University and at Imperial College, which are world-renowned universities, you know. So it was just a beautiful experience for the students. And from there, I didn't even realize that I was starting a movement that is as big as what it is now. And after that, we just got a lot of feedback, students saying that they had enjoyed the competition and they wanted more from us. That year, we decided to start the Rural School Innovation Camp, because the Science and Innovation Challenge was based on research. And that is a skill that is not taught by the current education curriculum. And we just wanted students to know what we are expecting from them. We can't be expecting them to compete and know how to do research if we are not teaching it to them. So that was the whole rationale behind having the Rural School Innovation Camp. And we also offered them a curriculum support. So we did revision for what they were doing in class, and we also taught them beyond the confines of the syllabus, just to show them that science can really be interesting. And the whole idea behind that was just to push more young people towards pursuing STEM subjects, because like I said, STEM is very important, because we are living in the fourth industrial revolution and technology is the future. Hello. So we also taught them social responsibility, because we want our scientists to be community minded, because it doesn't help anybody to conduct this really cool experiment that doesn't serve anybody. You need to think about the community. You know, if you're solving a problem, are you solving it in a way that is relevant to your chosen community? And we also taught them about the sustainable development goal. We gave them career guidance, and it was a beautiful experience, you know. And so after that, we decided, we wanted to have the competition again. But because of the COVID-19 pandemic, we couldn't have a huge gathering, because gatherings were regulated and we couldn't have more than 100 people, and we were expecting more than 100 participants this year. So we decided to have the competition online, and we just asked our students to write their projects out in a form of an essay, send it to us, and we will read their essays, give them feedback and all of that. And I was just so shocked by the participation of our students because we received 83 applications, which was really cool. It's closer to the number that we were expecting because we were expecting 100 participants. So after that, we decided that we were going to have a campaign, which is what we're doing at the moment. And the name of the campaign is hashtag Quality Education Matters, and it was inspired by the Black Lives Matter movement because the pandemic has made a lot of problems surface in our communities. These problems have always been there, but we didn't recognize them because they were just concealed in a whole lot that was going on. So when schools were closed this year, we realized that students do not have books, students do not have learning materials, and they don't have the means to continue learning when they're at home. And when students couldn't go to their schools, they just stopped learning. That was it for them. They couldn't access the internet, they didn't have any resources to keep learning and so forth. And we started this campaign because the education of a Black child matters, you know. And now when the world is shifting towards online learning, what is online learning to a student who doesn't have a computer or access to the internet or even a smartphone? So that was the rationale behind starting the campaign. And right now we have managed to raise enough funds to buy 200 students for our students. And we finished the first phase of the campaign. Next week we'll be doing the second phase of the campaign, and we'll be buying another 200. I feel that this is the response that we have gotten from the students is very overwhelming because they're just expressing how helpful it is to receive these guides, because the way study guides are written, it's like you have a teacher in front of you, you know, and this teacher is explaining things to you. So it sort of like bridges that gap that was opened up because students were far apart from their teachers. Yeah, so that's the evolution of the organization in
So
full.
we can say that bright young leaders that they were established and organized and registered 3 years ago, if I'm not mistaken. If you had,
Yeah,
so it was 2017.
2017, towards the end of 2017. Yeah.
Okay, and my next question is related to Youth Time International Movement. How did you find out for the Youth Global Forum, and how did you actually went there? Well, it's not for you people who are coming from Africa. It's not so cheap to go to Amsterdam just to pitch their idea, their project. So, like,
Hmm.
how did you fight for this opportunity, and actually, where did you find out for this?
Hmm. So earlier on, I said that as a global change maker or as a community change maker, you need to position yourself in a place where you are able to learn. And that is the essence of what I am all about. I am all about learning, not only from the people around me, but from people all over the world. I personally enjoy going to international conferences because that's where I get to meet change makers from all over the world. I learn about what they're doing, you know, and I learn about the problems that exist within their communities and stuff like that. And that inspires me and it pushes me to work harder and to know that I am not alone in this journey. There's a whole lot of global change makers out there that are striving to make the world a better place. So that's why I applied for the Youth International Movement Forum, right? So I came across the opportunity on social media and I just read up about it, and I looked through the website and I was like, okay, this is very interesting. It looks like a very diverse forum, and it looks like there will be a lot for me to learn. And when I applied, I'd also applied for sponsorship to attend the forum, but unfortunately I didn't get the sponsorship. And then as I read through, when I received the email that I had gotten into the forum, I was so excited, but at the same time I didn't have money to pay for the forum because I had not received the travel scholarship. And then I found out that there was also a prize, a 10,000 euro prize. And I just sat down and I was like, where can I get money to travel to Amsterdam so I can get into this forum, present my project? Because I could really, the organization could really use that 10,000 euros. And the amount of money that I am about to invest, because I only had to spend 12,000 for myself, in 12,000 rands. I don't know the conversions, but yeah, I only had to spend 12,000 rands for myself to travel, and my colleague had to pay the same. So we made a sacrifice. I remember I had to pay for my tuition, so I took money off of that. That was a big move. I took money off of that to pay for the trip, because I was just like, I really need this grant for the NGO, and it was worth it. When I was going there, I wasn't even sure if I was investing this money and I would actually win the grant money. I was just like, I'm gonna wing it. And when I got there, I worked so hard to make sure that my project stands out. I also got the opportunity to network. I spoke to the previous winners, and I was just trying to ask them for pointers. What
Mhm.
do they expect from you when you're presenting? How do I pitch a perfect a presentation and so forth? Because I had never pitched I had never pitched before in my entire life, and that was the first time, and I was so scared. But yeah, it turned out well, and it was really worth it. And I just appreciated the fact that I got to attend the forum, I got to learn, and at the same time it benefited my organization, because now, because of the grant, we got to implement much more than what we would have implemented had I not attended the forum. The campaign that we're currently doing at the moment is basically funded by Youth Time International movement, which I feel like is our biggest support so far.
So let's mention once again the campaign is Black Education Matters, or just education, quality education matters, right?
Quality education
Education Matter,
matters.
inspired by Black Lives Matters. And this
Yes,
is supported from Youth Time International Movement from the Global Forum grant, if I'm not
yes,
mistaken. I wanted
yes.
to ask you, like, what was your experience from the Global Forum with, like, hanging around with participants, with experts, like having the opportunity to pitch your idea. How did you feel during the event? Like, now we are talking to someone who, like, and trying to represent to someone who never attend Global Forum.
Mm. Um, the my experience attending the forum was phenomenal. Like I've already said, I was looking forward to the diversity, making friends, networking, speaking with other young people, and finding out what they were doing within their respective communities. For me, my favorite part of the forum was the presentations, because that is where you get to appreciate the talent that is within young people. Because when you started this interview, you asked me, how is it that you're 21 years old and you have already achieved so much? When you're there, you see a lot of 21-year-olds who have achieved a whole lot in life, even younger than that. And it is just inspiring, because as an older person, if for example it is me, 21 years old, sitting and listening to a 19-year-old present, I am so amazed by what that person is doing, that it pushes me as well to want to do something better. And I've spoken to a lot of people who didn't have projects by the time they came to the forum, but when they left, they were like, oh my god, I want to start this. I've been having this idea for the longest of times, but I never had the courage to implement it, and now I actually feel like I want to implement it. The whole sharing of ideas atmosphere that is at the forum is what makes it worthy of attending. And another reason why I had applied for the forum was because the title that year was Industry 5.0 versus inclusivity. And I'm very interested in technology. I know I'm in the medical space, but I'm very interested in technology, because I feel like technology interferes with every aspect of our lives, even within medicine, within education, within any industry you can think of. Technology is there. Technology is evolving, and we need to make sure that we are well learned in that area. So when we were having our expert panels and presentations, I felt like that was very informative, and they taught us things that you can't just go into the internet and read up on. You can't just find online, because the sessions were very interactive, and they made us see that technology is not just for the people who are studying computer sciences or technology related subjects. It is for everyone, because it touches each and every one of us. So I feel the forum was very informative in that regard. Yeah.
Oh, this is so inspiring. And how did you, are you still in contact with some people from your time, from your global forum? Maybe, like, do you still have those connections? Are you still in touch, supporting each other?
Yeah, I still do. I made a lot of friends actually during the forum. We still talk on social media, and we share each other's projects. And as an organization that is trying to grow outside of South Africa into the rest of Africa and the rest of the world, I feel like those contacts are very valuable. And we share opportunities. There's always forums going on around the world. There's always competitions, there's always this and that, and we just share with each other. And the one thing I like about making international friends is that if I'm traveling to Italy, I can just call somebody there and tell them, hey, I'm coming to Italy, can we catch up? And that's being a global citizen. And it makes you feel so connected to the world, and you realize that you shouldn't just live in your small bubble. It's a good thing to expand and to make friends all over the place.
Whoa, this was so cool topic. Now we need to touch one really unpleasant topic, and this is current situation
Mm.
about pandemic and the COVID. So, like, my question is, how are you struggling with this COVID situation, with the pandemic, when you cannot meet around, when you cannot organize public event? I know that you had your challenge and that you had three winners, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
Yes, but what are your future plans? What would you recommend to people who are now struggling and who are having their organizations and thinking now maybe we should quit? Maybe this is the end.
Yeah. So I've had it said that the pandemic is a new normal, and I
Yes.
feel like I feel like we're going to be in this pandemic for a while, and as organizations, as companies, we need to find a way to navigate around the pandemic. Because now more than ever we need those NGOs, we need organizations like Bailey to be providing books, we need all sorts of organizations to rise up and help wherever they can. And if your current model doesn't allow you to continue doing your work during the pandemic, find a way around it. Make use of social media. We made use of social media, and we are campaigning on social media, encouraging people to be involved in the campaign, encouraging them to donate, putting up our resources online so those who have access to it can access. And we are trying to just connect with our students via calls, connect with the Department of Education via calls and stuff like that. And it has also opened us up to creating more partnerships with other organizations, because now as we are running the campaign, right, we cannot go to all the 20 schools that we want to go to, but we had to create partnerships with community based organizations to help us run this campaign. And it is because of the pandemic that we have had these partnerships that will not only help us with the current campaign, but with other future campaigns and other projects that we will be doing. So I feel like now it is a very good time to sit down, reevaluate your business model or your operational model. Think about if it is easy for you to adapt when a situation like this comes. And it doesn't have to be particularly the COVID-19 pandemic, it can be anything. Have a model that is easily adjustable and be ready to adjust. Create partnerships, because you cannot do anything on your own. You need to liaise with different people, different structures. It can be government, it can be community-based organizations, it can be volunteers. If you need more volunteers, then you need to get them. And do not feel like because you couldn't do certain activities this year, then it's a wrap for your organization. No, we need organizations now more than ever.
Yes, we need to support each other. And according to my view and my research, as I can see now, solidarity will be the main topic of the world. So we should support each other. Every organization that are having the common goals and sense, they should support each other. So in that aim, I would like to ask you to tell us more about your challenge. How can we support you? How Youth Time International Movement can support quality education matters, and how can we spread the word about your campaign that is still on running?
So for 100 rands, I think 100 rands is an equivalent of two. Is it two? No, $5. Yes, for $5 you can buy one student a study guide, and we're trying to support students in rural areas by buying them these books. So if all the readers, listeners, and everybody watching this, if you could go into our website, it's www.brightyoungleadersinitiative.org. Just pitch in a donation. You can donate from anywhere in the world in any currency. Our payment gateway is quite secure, so do not be afraid to chip in that donation. $5. And if you want to if you want to give a recurring donation, you can also do that on the website. And visit us on social media just to see what we're doing and to see other options of how you can donate. Our Instagram handle is BYLI_Africa, and on Facebook we are Bright Young Leaders Initiative. And we just need people to chip in the donations, but also to help us spread the word. If you can share our work on your social media pages, that will be very much appreciated, because we need to let the world know of what we're doing. And as an organization, we don't just want to have an impact on the small circle or the learners that we are directly giving the books to, but we are also keen to share stories of change makers all over Africa. We want to inspire young people to start NGOs. We don't just want to start an NGO that is helping a particular group, but we want to create lasting change. That is why we're called the Bright Young Leaders Initiative. We want to inspire young leaders to rise. So if people could just see what we're doing and learn how they can do it, that would really, really, really be amazing, and we will reach the target that we want. And we also have free resources online. If you want to know how to start an NGO, how do you write a proposal, how do you do a needs assessment in your community, and also how to write an impact report, and everything NGO related, everything that is related to running and managing an NGO. We have resources for that online, and we encourage young people to go out there, start NGOs to support communities.
Wow, this is amazing. You're all the time giving something like usable for our followers. I'm pretty much sure that they will start following you because you're making amazing stories and really that means something. I wanted to
And
ask you, Till, when is the deadline for your campaign? Like, how long is it going to last?
So we wanted to do it until the end of the year, but we figured we will not be able to cover all the students that we want to cover, because our target is to reach 1,000 students. So we want to keep the campaign running until next year, January, so that when the academic year starts next year, students have books to early on in the academic year, because now we're just giving the books so that they can prepare for the exams, but we want them to have those books from the beginning of the year throughout the academic year. So we're gonna keep running this campaign until we reach our target, but we're aiming to have reached our target by the 31st of January.
Okay, so we have enough time to spread the word about quality
Yeah.
education matters. Do you know, like, so far, what is the impact of Bright Young Leaders initiative? Like, how many people did you support so far? Do you have some numbers?
So we had um wow. uh how much people have we infected? Okay, I would give like 5,000. 5,000 so far, because we have our camp, we have the competition, and we have the campaign going on. But at the same time, we do speaking engagements with schools, and we have visited 13 schools since we started, and we do speaking engagements with the Department of Education. So I myself, when I passed my matric year, which is the final year of high school here in South Africa, I was the overall top achiever in South Africa and in my province. So I do the speaking engagements to help students from the same background as me understand that they can conquer as well, and they can become that bright young leader, that top student. So that's why I do speaking engagements. So through speaking engagements, we have reached like thousands and thousands of students. Yeah.
Wow. And only for 3 years of existing. This
Only the
is
three. Yeah.
this is
Yeah.
this is actually very great. Like I'm mentioning numbers because for some people or for all of us, it's like once is when you're talking about impact, and another thing is when you are giving numbers. Only when
Yeah.
you're giving numbers and providing to people, they can actually feel the impact of your project. So that's the reason why I'm asking. So this is very, very, very important to be mentioned. So what are your future plans? Like beside the campaign, are you planning something new maybe, or just to be strict with the campaign?
So after the campaign, we want to build a computer center, in a local district, and the reason we're doing that is because most of the schools in that area do not have access to a computer lab. So we want to build one computer lab that will serve six schools in total, and those six schools combined have 2,500 students. So we want to we want to build one computer center that will be accessed by one school at a specific date, and they will share that space. And that is just to make sure that students have access to the internet. They can download learning materials when they are needed. They can apply to universities online, because some students simply do not apply to university because they didn't know how to, or they didn't have internet and so forth. And just to help students do research, because like I said, we have a research competition on an annual basis. So we need to provide our students with the means to actually do the research. So that is why we are planning towards building that computer center. And our goal is to have this project completed by next year, June 2021. Yeah, that's the next big thing that we are doing.
So you're not planning to stop. Nothing can stop you.
We cannot afford to stop. We cannot stop. A lot of young people out there need us to keep doing these things and to just keep empowering them.
And one thing that we didn't mention, and I'm finding really important, who are the parts of your team? Who are people who are behind the bright young leaders? We know for Anza, but let's share the word about them.
So I have a team of 6 people. So there is Ndicheni, she is my COO, and she helps me to manage the organization and to manage projects that are going on. And there's Rokunda, he's the regional projects manager based in Bembe district, where most of our schools are located. We have Furupero, she is our blogger, and she writes articles of amazing stories of our young leaders. So we like to share stories of what the young leaders are doing. So if anyone has a project that they're doing, we share it on our blog just to get people to learn about the project and so forth. So she is our storyteller. And we have Mutinda, he's our social media manager, and he helps to share the stories of what we're doing, and as well as our young people on social media, and just to promote the organization on social media. And we have Malokisa. Malakisa is our CFO, and he helps us with fundraising and how to manage these grants that we receive properly. And finally, we have Ziwia. He is head of our communications, and he helps us liaise with different media bodies, and also with our different stakeholders, to make sure that communication is smooth inside and outside the organization.
And you didn't mention Anza. What Anza is doing?
And Anza is the founder and CEO, hashtag boss babe of the organization. So my role is to strategize and just strategize the different work that we're doing. What should we do, why should we do it, and how do we go about doing whatever that we're planning to do. So that's my job.
Well, well done. I'm really happy that we mentioned all parts of the team because we cannot do anything by ourselves or alone. So I'm really
Yeah.
happy that we mentioned all of those names and congrats to all of them. The one thing that is really visible is our social media. That I'm really congratulations to the person who is, I forgot the name, but I will remember it. And also storyteller and website is great launch. So like my congrats, like honest congrats. You are doing great job.
Thank
The,
you so much.
the all of you guys, the all of you are doing great job, and I'm pretty much sure that they will watch this interview. So like
Yes,
big,
yeah.
big hug and big hi for all of them. So for the last question, I wanted to ask you, what would you, for example, recommend for future participants of Youth Global Forum or people who would like to be involved in Youth Time International Movement?
I would say when you go in there, be prepared to learn, open yourself up to this opportunity because I feel like it only comes once. When you are in this environment with a lot of people with different stories and with different projects, you just need to open yourself up to these people and learn from them, assimilate as much as you can. And sometimes it is tiring. After a long flight, you just want to go into your hotel room and sleep and rest. Sometimes you don't even feel like engaging or networking. So I would just say, just in that week, maximize. Get up every day, attend every session, network with people, make contacts, and make sure that you take everyone's contact that is relevant to your field, because making contact is very important. Even if that person may not be the person that you need for your project, they can refer you to somebody that is relevant. So that is a very good opportunity for you to expand your reaches. And you never know, hey, maybe one day I will be able to replicate Bailey in another country through somebody that I met at the forum. And that is the beauty of networking. So for future participants, go out there and be there. Allow yourself to be there mentally, fully, completely, and just participate, engage. Is a beautiful experience, and you will not regret it.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Now we are going to say goodbye to all people who are listening to us. We would recommend them to follow us on our social media. That will be down YouTube description and podcast description. They can find us everywhere.